All right, looks like we've got a good number of folks joining us, so we'll be respectful of everyone's time and go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us today. This is a workshop in a series of workshops that OIT's research computing team has been hosting. Just want to make sure that everybody's aware that we do offer high performance computing and research services. That's one area of the Office of Information Technology. And today we have Luke Taylor with us. And Luke is our primary GIS support person, and he's going to be talking to us about ArcGIS and his role and help everybody learn more. So I'll turn it over to Luke, but if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to pop them in the chat window and we'll make sure that those are answered. But I will hand it on over to Luke.
Hey, thanks, Megan. Like Megan said, I'm Luke Taylor. I handle most things GIS related for OIT, and I'm a part of DJ's research computing group. We have, over the last probably 4 to 6 months, we've put together a new GIS portal here to be used by researchers or really anyone across campus that wants to be able to use ArcGIS tools. So we got some pretty neat stuff. I'm not going to get too technical today. I just wanted to kind of do a high-level overview of what exactly GIS is, and then touch a little bit about the portal we've put together. So feel free to interrupt me if you need to. Maybe we can answer some questions then, or we can get to them at the end. I see Al Crawford is on here. I know he's a GIS expert, so I figure he's going to butt in and give us a few questions. Anyway, let's get started. So I guess the first question is, what is GIS? GIS is a geographic information system. Basically, the field incorporates geographical features with tabular data. So what you're really doing is attaching a geographical component to any data you have. So some portion of the data has a spatial component, essentially. And the tabular data is known as attribute data in relation to the feature that you're creating. And this is what really distinguishes GIS from CAD data, such as AutoCAD, Revit, stuff along those lines, is the actual tabular data has a spatial component. So GIS really tries to answer the question, you know, it deals with the science of where. Once again, you have geographical data, so it has a spatial component, and it allows it to be located on a map. So as long as you've got your data on a map, it knows where it is in the world. So if you give your data an X and Y coordinate, such as a ladder line, then it knows exactly where it exists in the world. And once you have that geographically located, you can start to do analysis with that data. So how do you utilize GIS? Well, you can utilize it to identify problems. You know, you can do it for trending, for forecasting, to monitor short-term, long-term changes. You can set priorities with your data. And we're talking about all kinds of data. Any kind of data you have, be it Excel data, you have a bunch of data in the SQL server, wherever, as long as you attach a spatial component to it, you can analyze that data. So one of the big things is identifying problems, looking at trends across the world or locally. The big problem we're dealing with right now is COVID. So like I told you guys, I'm going to show you a lot of maps, so just bear with me here. But so here's a COVID map. That was built with ArcGIS dashboard by Johns Hopkins University. Pretty powerful data. But as you can see, all the data has a spatial component to it. You can click on it and get all the tabular data associated with it. So this is This is a pretty hot trend right now. All the COVID, there's a lot of COVID maps out there.
Hey, Luke, we can't see the map. We just see your PowerPoint presentation.
Let's see.
Might need to share your entire screen or share another window.
Is that not getting it?
Not yet.
Let's see which one we can share here. What about that one?
Yep, we can see it now. Thanks.
All right. This is going to be a mess. I'm going to have to switch back with shares every time I go to a different map. Maybe we can work through it here. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so this is just a COVID map. It's built with ArcGIS dashboard, and this is part of the stuff that you get with all the ArcGIS tools when you come over to see us. All right, help me out here, Megan. Let's see here. You still seeing the COVID map?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this is okay, are we on the new manage and respond to events?
Yeah, we can see your PowerPoint presenter view.
Okay, all right. You guys just gonna have to bear with me. It looks like we're having to switch back and forth here. But here's another example of a map. We actually built this in-house here at the university. So with GIS, you can do real-time stuff too with GIS. So this is, we built this for public safety. It's a custom application. So as our 911 dispatch center gets calls in across campus, we actually grab that data and plot it real-time on a map. We actually have modems set up in all the police cars. So every 15 seconds, they'll send us they'll ping our GeoEvent server and let us know where they're at. And we grab all that data and we plot it on a map. So, you know, there's real-time capabilities associated with GIS data too. It's not just static data. You can set priorities with GIS data. You know, the farming industry uses GIS quite a bit to forecast weather. So one of their big deals is drought analysis. So here's a drought analysis map that was put together. And farmers can come in here and look at all this stuff and kind of trend as far as, you know, when they want to plant crops and stuff along those lines. So here's some of the drought stuff that's, you know, you people that live in Tuscaloosa, you might remember back in 2007, I remember I do, we had a serious drought. But this is how it trended. And, you know, all this data is publicly available through Esri. You can monitor long-term change with GIS. A lot of imagery data is utilized to monitor like glacial retreat, glacial advancement, deforestation, natural disaster impacts is a big area of study. So this is a map that was put together for Hurricane Dorian a couple of years ago that swept through the Bahamas using satellite imagery, before and after imagery, so you can see the damage that was created. That all this does is uses satellite imagery, and you stitch it all together in GIS. And it's a really this is a really powerful tool for disaster recovery agencies. Perform forecasting. You know, you can do stuff like look at sea level rise. I won't really touch on that, but that's just another area you can look at. It's really powerful tool for analyzing global impacts. You can use GIS to understand trends. A lot of time, researchers will get bogged down in just information, just huge amounts of information, trying to analyze that information. And if you can attach a spatial component to that information, it opens a different door for you as far as trying to analyze all your information. Maybe you don't get all bogged down in what's going on with the data, but if you actually step back and look at the data on a map, maybe different ideas open up to you. So basically, you know, how does GIS work? You know, there's really 4 components to it. You've got a map, and it's really the container for all your data. You take all your data, you give it a spatial component, you stick it in your map. Then once you have all the data you want in your map, you analyze that data. You can do spatial analysis, you know, topological studies, do whatever kind of analysis you want to on the data within your map. And then you present that map through different apps that are available through our portal. So, you know, you can share it on phones, you know, desktops can utilize it, create websites, tablets, whatever you want to do. So, you know, the maps are the basic experience and interface for the application of GIS. It's, you know, it's the first component of GIS. It's what everyone thinks about is the map. But the most important part of the map, most important part of GIS in general is the data. So, you know, organizations want to create and share data. You know, WebGIS is you know, everything's being put into a WebGIS format, and it's just exploding exponentially. So, you know, you have to get contributions from individual users. Esri, you know, has tons of data. Researchers contribute to all this data. And Esri has put together what they call the living atlas of the world. And it's basically just a conglomeration of all this data. And all this data is accessible by you as a portal user if you decide to come on with us. You know, all this data is there for you. You have base maps, you have hydrological data, traffic data, demographic, imagery data. You have all kinds of data available to you as a user if you get on board with us. But all this is, you know, it's public source data. One of the big sources of data in GIS is imagery data. And, you know, imagery is just a picture of the Earth. You know, in its simplest form, it's just a picture of the Earth. And it's composed of millions of pixels. So a lot of researchers will use imagery data throughout their analysis. Demographic data that's available to you. Demographic data is really powerful. You know, Esri has demographic data for the entire US. I think about 120 countries have demographic available data. All this data, you know, deals with family sizes, household incomes, spending, shopping centers. There's all kinds of demographic data available. Base maps. So when you're utilizing your data, you don't want to just put it on a blank slate. So Esri's built all these base maps for us to use. So if you want to put a point in a map, you really want a base map to give your data some context. Let it know where it lives. So Esri has all these base maps available to us: street, topo maps, terrain maps, all these imagery based maps. Let's see, here's a so here's an imagery map that's available. And this stuff is global, it's continuous, it's worldwide. So it's not just situated in one area. We as a university, we have our area flown once a year. If you can see this little bit lighter gray area, we have it flown once a year. And then we send our data to Esri and they stitch it in their world base map. So anybody that's using Esri when they come down along the university, they get this real high level of imagery that they stitch in for us. And you can really see the difference in the resolutions here. So on the right side is our stuff. On the left side of this roof of this house is Esri's global stuff. So we stitch in some really high resolution stuff that works really well for studies across the university. Analysis, you know, once you get past the data, you get it in your map, you want to analyze that data. You know, spatial analysis allows you can just put layers upon layers into your map, and you can perform analysis on that data once you get it in your map through our tools. You know, spatial analysis lets you evaluate things such as, you know, you can estimate and predict, you can interpret and understand. You know, after you put your data in the map, don't just show that data. Let's perform some type of analysis on it. It helps you establish key relationships and you know, make predictions and do smart mapping. This is a map that was put together, you know, looking at poverty levels throughout Chicago. And so the neat thing about all this stuff is, you know, you have a point or feature that shows you your data, but then that point or feature has tabular data behind it. So what we did, what DJ and John McGowan tasked me with was putting together a portal for us to use that, you know, it's not an online portal, it's actually housed here on our campus. So we went together and put together an enterprise deployment. And this really doesn't concern the end user, but, you know, it's a Windows-based system, it's on premises. And so basically what that means being on premises is all our servers are here on premises. You have an enterprise geodatabase attached to the back end of it. And so you go to the portal and all our data is here on university. It's not in Esri's cloud, and you can actually access the data in a SQL format behind the scenes. So yes, you do work with a lot of stuff on a feature-based, map-based basis, but some people might be data nerds. Housing it here on campus in our own SQL database, you can go and query to your heart's content. So what's the GIS portal? The portal is basically, it's in its simplest terms, it's where we house all of your GIS information. You can store your data in the portal, you can access your data through the portal, and then you can share that data through the portal. You can give others within your organization or even outside of your organization access to that data, and you can share it in whatever format you want to. You can create a web map for somebody to look at, or you can share the data straight to them and let them bring the data in and do whatever they want to with it. We can create informative maps through portal. Here's a hurricane evacuation strategy for the city of Houston put together. So they're trying to show some of the quickest routes outside of Houston to leave Houston in the event of a hurricane. Well, the roads and all are pretty self-explanatory, but if you attach some demographic data to it, you see that, you know, almost 26% of these people living right here in this tract, they don't even have access to a vehicle to get to the escape route. So, you know, these are things that community planners look at and can put together that gives you an overall picture that maybe just isn't available otherwise. You know, another big hot topic analysis is creating heat maps. You can create all kinds of heat maps based on crime data. You know, most crime data is readily available, so you can create all kinds of heat maps. Another big advantage of all this, you can actually take your maps offline. So if you create a map within our portal and you want to do field work with that data, you can take the map offline, use one of Esri's apps or a custom app that we may build, and you can go out in these areas that won't have internet access, collect all your data, then bring it back in the office and sync all that data up. Python is the language of choice for Esri. So as a developer, if you have a pretty strong developer's background, Python's not hard to learn. You can write a lot of scripts within Python that automate a ton of workflows. You know, you can set stuff to run overnight in Windows tasks using Python, but you can access all of the tools that are available within ArcGIS Pro, write Python scripts against those tools. So this is it's a little deeper, but if you're a developer, Python's a really powerful tool. So basically, what do you get with the portal? You get a place to store all your data for one. Next, you get, if you have a portal subscription through us, you get a ton of apps. These are desktop applications for the most part. You get a ton of apps that you can utilize. One of them is Webout Builder. And the cool thing about this Webout Builder is you don't have to be a developer to create a website. Basically, you just throw your data in there, move it around like you want, drop a few buttons in there, and then you have a way to display all of your data. You don't have to have any developer's experience whatsoever. There's some of the different apps you get with a subscription to our portal. You get Navigator, you get stuff for collecting data in the field. You get some cool, I mean, I don't know all this stuff. You get some cool drone stuff where you can actually go out and send a drone up, you know, film stuff, snap pictures when you're up, come back in and stitch it into some of your ArcGIS maps. You get dashboards, you get Explorer, you get a lot of cool different apps. The main app, though, is ArcGIS Pro. Some of you may be familiar with ArcGIS Desktop. We're moving away from desktop, going to ArcGIS Pro. It integrates a little bit better with our portal, but it's it does all the heavy lifting, and it's just a desktop application. And what you do with this application is you hook into the portal. So you have ArcGIS Pro set up on your machine, your desktop, and then you hook into the portal, and then you just suck all the data out of portal and put it in your desktop application, do all your analysis, build your maps how you want to, and then you can publish your data back out to the portal and share it with whomever you would like to. Cool thing with ArcGIS Pro as opposed to desktop is that you can create 3D scenes. So this is what you can do in Pro, and this really blows my mind. This is Switzerland, the whole country of Switzerland, and evidently these guys are ahead of the curve because they have gone through and they have created 3D applications for their entire country. I'm not just talking about cities. I'm talking about every farmhouse, every structure throughout the entire country is 3D referenced. And they've done a lot with this stuff. You know, you can show shadows. This is what you get with ArcGIS Pro. You get some really powerful stuff that's not available with desktop. ArcGIS Insights for you, I guess for you business analysts, this is really neat. We use this a lot over at UAPD actually with a lot of our crime mapping stuff. So basically it just takes your data and you can attach all kinds of charts and graphs to it and interact with it. So as long as you've got feature-oriented data, you can create all kinds of bar charts, pie charts. You can create all kinds of different stuff. It's a really, really neat tool. Dashboards, I showed you the COVID dashboard earlier. Those are really easy to make. You don't need any developer experience with that stuff. Like I say, you just drag and drop your data once you get it together. Create a full-blown website that will be hosted through our servers. Really neat. Like I said, the enterprise geo database, me personally, that's the biggest advantage to using ArcGIS Portal versus ArcGIS Online. Some of you guys might be familiar with Online. ArcGIS Online, everything is hosted in Esri's servers in the cloud. So you have some access to the data that's behind the features you're trying to show, but you can't actually manipulate it through a database. All our stuff is stored here on campus in SQL servers, and you can go in there and you can write queries. You can set up SQL jobs. You can do link servers. You can edit data straight through the server. So that's stuff that's not available to you online. Our portal, we just have a basic portal set up right now. In the future, I'll be adding another server to handle geoanalytics, which is just big data. We have an image server that processes all the raster imagery and satellite imagery. We'll have a business analyst server. And I'm going to be setting up a new geo event server for all the real-time stuff. So basically that's it as far as GIS goes. We have a GIS portal. This is what it looks like. This is the front end when you go to it. So I guess what our ultimate goal is we want to engage you guys to help us push this product. Or some of you may want to use this product right now. Just let us know. But we want to try to get this out to the campus, particularly on the research end. And we could certainly use all the help in the world with letting, faculty, staff, students that might be involved in research projects. We want all kinds of feedback from you guys, and we want everyone to help us push this product. So, what do you need to do to get started? Right now, we'll set some stuff up. We'll work with Megan, DJ to help us with all that, but we're going to set some stuff up. But basically, just get in touch with me, shoot me an email. We'll look at your project. I can set up user privileges, teams. we can set it up where the data is shared with whoever you want. I myself, I'm a GIS programmer, so I can do custom websites. I can help with all the Python stuff. There's a lot of different things we can do, but not many people know that this stuff is out there. And the ones that do know it's out there might not know how to use it. So, I'm here to help. There's other GIS entities across campus that can help, but I'm really here to help and push all this stuff out. So let's get everybody on board. Has anybody got any questions relating to any of this stuff? I know it was, we're looking at it from 100,000 feet, but I didn't want to get really bogged down in any boring details. I wanted to show a lot of different maps. I hope I didn't scare anybody away. That's certainly not the plan. But does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Sure.
I have collected some locations of interest, and we are starting to deploy some low-cost sensors, and we need to set up a Mesonet. So Mesonet is, kind of like Internet of Things, and we need to show locations. Can we do that using the portal? And how do we kind of like keep it on the research side before releasing to public? And I actually do like the question that Erica just posted on the chat about what does it cost for us to use this?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly get you set up in Portal to display your data, and nothing goes public until you want it to. If you even want it to go public, you can share it with whoever you want to. So we could definitely sit down and look at your data and help you out there. Now, as far as costs go and all that stuff, I might have to defer some of that stuff over to DJ. I'm not certain there's any cost if the data is small. I think the cost will probably will come if you're trying to store huge amounts of data.
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely talk. Are you gonna send any slide, or are you gonna send like a feed?
Yes, ma'am. We'll get with Megan. We're gonna try to figure out the best way to get this situated. All my info will be on there, and just send me an email. It's as simple as that, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I can see your email, but your email is not possible to be copied. Can it be in chat?
We'll get it all situated. Megan's the expert on all that stuff as far as getting it out to the public. We'll get everything out there, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Luke, I do want to mention that we are recording this session, and we'll have it posted to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/OIT@UA. So this will be there in the next few days for people to view and share.
Great. So, I mean, that's our ultimate goal, Megan, is trying to get it out there for everyone. Because, it's not a lot of people are aware of what we do on campus and GIS-wise. I mean, a lot of these departments have their own GIS experts, so to speak, but we have some pretty powerful tools that might not be available to everyone, and we want everyone to get hooked into it, particularly research oriented. Anyone else got anything? Al, you still there?
Any other questions for Luke?
Yeah, well, I see one here in the chat. As far as cost, like I said, I mean, it's the cost would be associated with data. I'm not certain we've got all that pinned down. I mean, unless we're just talking about just terabytes and terabytes of data, you know, I'm not sure there will be a cost at all associated with it, with that portion of it.
So it sounds like first step would just be to get with you and start talking about their project, and then we'll
and like I said, and Megan, it's not just a piece of software that we give and say, here, it's yours, take it. You know, that's not what we're after. We're trying to sit down with people, help them with their project, figure out what they need, you know, create data models, you know, figure out which tools best, you know, will best suit them as far as what they're trying to accomplish. So there's a lot more that goes to it. We're not just giving someone a desktop application and just letting them go with it. You know, we want to help.
Absolutely. We want to be partners with researchers and folks on this. So definitely reach out to Luke to get started. I did go ahead and put his email address in the chat here. It's just jltaylor16@ua.edu. And then we will, like Victoria mentioned, publish this and share it with YouTube. But feel free to reach out to Luke directly with any questions or to get started talking about a project.
Yep. I see, here's another question I see, Megan, you know, relating to a way for us to check what kind of projects or data currently reside in the database. As of now, nothing resides in it. It's brand new. I have tons of data that we've generated here on a university basis that I'm going to be uploading to the database. But Esri has their living atlas. And, you know, once you gain access to the portal, then you gain access to all of their data, and you can suck that data in and use it however you want to. It doesn't reside on our databases, it's their data, but you can pull it in, suck it into your projects, use it however you want to, and then upload it to our portal as part of your project.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in with us today and learning a little bit more about the tools that are available. And like we've mentioned multiple times, we're really here to be a partner to you and make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful. So don't hesitate to reach out and stay tuned for future webinars and ways to learn with us. Have a good weekend.
All right, good. Thank you, Megan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.